Morning, class.
Good morning, Miss Justina.
Jean, I'm done.
I hope you're well, Miss Justina.
I'm very well. Thank you, Melanie. I'm done with the regression analysis. Thanks for filling in.
It all started really when Cami Gatan, the producer, showed me a short story that Mike Carey had written, which is sort of the story of the first 7 or 8 minutes of what became our film.
One day, I just woke up with the idea of Melanie in my mind, the idea of a young girl sitting in a classroom writing that sort of perennial essay, what I want to be when I grow up. But we can see that she's not going to grow up. She's not going to be allowed to grow up. She's a zombie.
Can we have a story?
I knew there was a lot of zombie stories out there on TV and comic books and novels, but I'd never really seen a character like Melanie before.
I kept on pitching it to anyone who would stand still long enough to listen.
After a number of conversations, we cracked on an idea that came out of that short story that became the film of The Girl with All the Gifts.
The gods do not forget. And by, Zeus wanted to punish Epimetheus for his misdeeds, so he fashioned a woman of clay and gave her the name Pandora, she who brings gifts.
The Girl with All the Gifts is the story of a young girl, Melanie, who has grown up in extraordinary conditions. She lives in a subterranean bunker on an army base, and her experience of the world is limited to a handful of rooms and a corridor. She doesn't question this, it's all she's ever known. But we notice that she's being treated in a very strange way by the adults around her, that she's treated like a cross between a wild beast and an unexploded bomb.
I think he's a really interesting man, and I love the way he thinks. He's a very quiet man that comes up with these rather alarming, fabulous ideas.
It takes us a while to realize why she is being treated in this way.
And it's all about tricking the audience into feeling a lot of empathy for these children and then revealing that these children are in fact monsters and they don't even know it themselves.
No! Please don't.
It's not a film about the event of the zombie apocalypse. It's a film that's about the remnants of human beings moving around in a world that's already taken back over by nature.
You know, it spoke to me about the sort of fragility of human beings and the fact that we run this planet so we think, but the planet will survive quite happily without our existence.
By the first 5 pages, I knew that it was something that I think is special. There's a certain kind of writing that I really like. Elegance, that has a certain kind of elegance. Interesting characters that not everything is spelled out. It gives an actor room to fill out certain things. And I thought the storyline was very, very different. So I immediately said yes after one read.
Up against the fence, gang. Is that all the A's there? Body up against the fence. Ah!
Yeah, we've got zombies and it's great, but the central story is a lot more heartfelt and emotional than that.
And role play!
She has a very intense relationship with one of her teachers, Miss Justina, and that relationship changes both their lives and is the catalyst for most of the action in the film.
It's sort of is a zombie film. We can't avoid that description. But it's very smart, it's very emotional. We wanted to find just really high quality actors who are known for giving amazing performances, not at all for being in a shoot 'em up zombie film.
Okay, gotta go, load up and shooty. Stand by.
In casting the adult characters in the film, I knew that we needed really great actors around this child's performance that was going to make the film work or not, and that we needed people who could make the characters real. Obviously, Glenn's got 6 Academy nominations. Paddy is like the doyen of British art house, and I knew from what I'd seen of Gemma that she was a really kind of special naturalistic actor.
But it's that element of surprise and quality that was really important for us.
Hope is the good thing that makes you be able to stand all the bad things.
But there isn't anything bad here, is there?
It sounds kind of impossibly romantic, but Senya was the last girl of 500 girls to walk through the door. She was the very last one that day, and I remember clearly phoning Cami on the way down the road and saying, "There's one more girl." And that wound up being Senya.
It's really weird because you don't actually expect something like this to happen. Like, if you audition for something, it's not 100% certain that you're actually going to get it. You might think of it, or you might think that you're not going to, but you don't know. So we're really lucky that we actually got picked. So thank you, Colm and Cami and everyone else who picked.
Colm was looking for someone very real and someone very raw and very open. I was looking for a little girl who was going to be on set with us every day in an adult work environment, in derelict locations. You need a lot of stamina, both physically and emotionally, to be away from home for 10 full weeks and do this. And you're in every scene and you're surrounded by 10 blokes with cameras and dollies, and, you know, it can be really intimidating.
I think she's been fantastic. I've loved working with her. I think people can get around kids a bit too much. They can pamper them a bit and get excited around them on set. But it's like any kid. If she's got the natural kind of ability to do it, then all you've got to do is let her run on her instincts and she'll produce the goods, you know, as long as you don't get too involved.
She was great at the start and she's just got better and better, and you see her learning. You see her learning about where to pitch things, how to place things, and she'll do things for you when she's not on camera. Yeah, I don't know where they found her, but they did a good job.
I'm amazed, to be honest with you. When I was that age, there's no way I'd be able to deal with all of that. And she's in practically every scene.
I think she's a remarkable little girl. Obviously incredibly intelligent and has a lot of soul and heart. And she just has a certain kind of gravitas as a child that I think is really perfect for this movie.
It's amazing. It's more than you'd probably imagine. Let's go! Let's go!
By the end of the first week, we knew that, you know, she had the mettle for it, but also that she was creating a really, really special performance.
It's safe to come down.
My God.
I'm not hungry now.
Good job. Let's go.
I thought it was going to be incredibly intimidating directing Glenn, because she is a part of this of Hollywood in a really big way. You know, she tends to play quite formidable sort of characters. So I thought she was going to be quite overwhelming as a person, but actually she's incredibly open creatively and really trusting of a director, and certainly that was my experience of it, and really collaborative and really good fun.
I liked him. I liked how he talked. I certainly liked what he sent me as far as the look of the movie, the grittiness of it, that he didn't want to use all this CGI. He wanted to use as little CGI as possible to create this world in the future, and I liked everything he said.
He's a mixed bag of it all. He's had to take care of us and then take care of the technicalities of making a film like this as well. So he's a bit of an all-rounder, Colm, you know, and he's a good presence.
He's got this film in his head, and we just trust him, and that's the biggest thing you want from a director, is that you trust them and that you know that if it's not right, they'll go again, or if it's right, they've got it, they won't overshoot, which is great for energy.
A lot of the time, the direction to the other actors was about how to help unlock Senya. And I think that was sort of liberating for them, because they didn't have to make it all about themselves. They were aware that what they had to do was be these human beings real enough that they could get Senya to be Melanie.
Do you want to get some more exercise? You can run ahead and find us a clear route.
I think his approach is to make it real. It's not about being cool. You know, so I think sometimes action can be like, you know, they take out the bad guy and go like that at the camera and, you know, all that sort of stuff. And it's not. It's about survival, so it's rougher, and I think Colum's really good at keeping it real.
And action!
It was really interesting coming up with the look for the Hungries.
We decided very early on that we wanted to have an entirely plausible explanation for our zombie apocalypse. And we found not a virus, but a fungus, Ophiocordyceps unilateralis. You would not believe this organism on a bet. We found it in a David Attenborough documentary, The Secret Life of Plants. It is a parasite on ants. The spores attach themselves to the ant's body, and basically the fungus takes over the ant's nervous system, and it forces the ant to climb up a tree, climb to the highest leaf, and then basically just to hang there while the fungus eats it out from the inside and then explodes. And the spores then spread for miles across the forest floor and start the whole process over again. So we just imagined that this fungus has somehow jumped the species barrier and all of the other barriers and is now afflicting humans.
And then in terms of movements, I'll never forget it. When we were financing the film, we would go and pitch the film and show 2 YouTube videos. One was the David Attenborough documentary, and the other one was the jaw movement that the Hungries end up doing. It's a cat video.
Colm showed me a really great video of cats clicking. It's when they're sort of staring at animals through windows and sort of imagining eating them. They do this funny thing with their jaw. And Colm was very keen that we tried to replicate that in some way.
It's sort of natural, but it's a little bit disconcerting, and people straight away got what that movement might be.
So I'm not thinking about my arms at all.
So I worked with various practitioners in rehearsal rooms in London before we came up to start shooting, and developed a kind of physical language for the Hungries, how they behaved when they're not hunting, and rather than just standing stock still or wandering around in a kind of aimless zombie-like way. We've got them kind of static, but sort of swaying gently in the wind as if there's something organic about them.
So you sort of walk onto set and you see them, and they've got this fungus growing out of their ears, and it's all down their face and their neck, and then they're completely still, and their hair's blowing in the wind, but they're like this the whole time. It's so scary. Honestly, it's sort of we don't need to. There's no acting required at all, because you sort of go, this is scary.
What would it look like on humans once the fungus comes out of, you know, your ears and your mouth and your nose, and how does it spread? And basically it's like a toe fungal infection. So we just had to find a way of making a lot of prosthetics that we can get on a lot of extras.
These are all the prosthetic pieces that we've designed to be able to cover large areas of the body, so you can just melt away the areas that you need. And we've done them in varying tones of browns, sort of dead flesh colours, greeny colours.
I actually got to be an extra in the film, which was thrilling in a different way. It's hard to know how to describe the experience of being an extra in the movie, because I was sort of being transplanted into a world that I had created.
That your feet are rooted to the ground, but you have all of that energy, yes? Having that sensor forward, yes? Does that make sense? Yeah. To keep everybody safe.
It was chaos coordinated. There were a million things happening in a million different places. And then at a certain point I was allowed to go behind the cameras and see what Colm was seeing. You realise that it's all been expertly choreographed and it all makes sense.
397, take 2. The puppet and the strings have been touched. 1, 2, 3.
My sister-in-law has been a zombie fiend, fanatic, I think, for her, certainly her whole adult life, maybe even before that. And she knows everything about them, all the traditionalists about them. And my brother told me that her greatest dream was to someday be in a zombie movie.
Yeah, this was absolutely my life's dream was to always be a zombie.
So besides calling my agent to say, I would love to be in this movie because I love the script, I called my brother and I said, guess what? I'm going to be doing a zombie movie. And if you can make your way from Montana over to the UK, I bet you can be in it.
This film takes place 10 years after our apocalyptic plague has taken over. So we were looking for locations where nature had really taken over for about the right length of time. About midway through prep, the location manager phoned me up and really excitedly said, I've found this place and it's the most messed up hospital I've ever been in. It was just this epic corridor after corridor of peeling wallpaper and ivy coming through the windows and all this kind of ruin porn stuff that we'd been fantasizing about since early on. And in fact, we changed the staging of the scenes a little bit based around this incredible location.
It was all about real locations, performances of real human beings under duress and trying to bring that all together. And the hospital we ended up in had been shut down for 12 years, so it was absolutely perfect for us, and it was great for our production designer who walked around going, yep, here you go. And, all the plants are there. He didn't have to add any of the moss or any of the decay. Everything was already in there.
I think having the environment's a really important thing. I have people who do theatre, they do it with nothing around them but a light. I get it, I understand it, but it's much better if you can put your feet into the set and it feel a little bit authentic.
We looked at a lot of different derelict spaces around the world, and we hit upon Pripyat, which is the town of Chernobyl, outside Chernobyl. So we sent a unit there to film, and the idea of combining that with some of the derelict spaces in the Midlands that we'd found was kind of the world-creating approach that we took.
The great thing about over there is just how nature has just overcome the entire place. So now it's like a lost jungle city.
Being on set was the fulfillment of a dream. It really was. And I was watching those actors. I was watching Glenn Close and Gemma Arterton and Paddy Considine and Senya speaking lines that I'd written, and I just felt, I'm so lucky. This is ludicrous.
It was really interesting on day one having all the actors together, and it was like, who would have put Gemma, Paddy, and Glenn in a zombie movie together? They're quite an odd motley crew, and they really got on set and they gelled straight away, which was fantastic.
I like to have fun on set. As long as it's not distracting anybody, just bring it when you need to, and I like having a laugh.
I think it's the most important thing for me to come to a set happy. And I have every day. It's just been a joy.
Thank you very much, and we love you.